Yeah, and maybe property tax could be next. It's not an outlandish thing to pick up. Let's talk about how much tax is going to have to go up, because borrowing costs yesterday very close to a 27-year high again on the 30-year. The 10 years at over 4.7%, again ticking up of late. What's driving that, do you think?
Well, we have seen interest rates rise right across the world in recent years. Some of that's related to wider instability, some of it's just related to changes in the economic environment. The job of a government is obviously to respond sensibly to that, and what this government has done is to be clear we won't repeat the mistakes of some elements of the Conservative Party in recent years, pretending that you can ignore international markets pressure. We need to make sure that we're living within our means. That's why the Chancellor has set out clear fiscal rules, which means that current spending that goes on our day-to-day public services is fully funded out of taxation. Yes, we borrow, but we only borrow for investment projects of the kind we've been discussing earlier.
Obviously, globally over the last 3 or 4 years, rates have risen. The last couple of months, ours have risen more. The spreads over some countries have risen a bit more than elsewhere. I guess it also comes in light of the Bank of England cutting rates, which is celebrated to an extent when it comes around by the government. But I guess the reality is that the pressure on those of you in the Treasury, as you try and do the sums ahead of the autumn statement, is actually growing because long-term rates have risen, even if the Bank of England has cut rates.
Well, I think it is welcome that the Bank of England has cut rates. As you said, we've now seen 5 interest rate cuts since the Labour government came to office, alongside the 3 trade deals. All of that is really important, both to in the short term, helping with family finances. Everybody that's got a mortgage will be glad to see those 5 rate cuts happen, but it's also important in the longer term to supporting growth, and that's what also the trade deals that the Prime Minister has put in place are doing. But you're right, look, the Treasury always needs to. You want a Treasury, just like everybody looks at their household finances and thinks, are we doing the right thing? That's the job of the Treasury to be doing, but in a sensible way. As I say, we set out clearly what our fiscal strategy is, to pay for day-to-day public spending from